David Shearer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, I mean, it's following that, Mr. Chair. I mean, there was so much inaccuracy there. I just want to point out a couple of points to start with. First of all, the 10 years of deficits. I don't remember 10 years of deficits. What I do remember was this government inheriting a surplus, and now we have less than 3 years later, $16.7 billion in deficit. $16.7 billion in deficit. And what I also would like to point out to that minister, because he really does need to go back and consult his officials, that his R&D policy was worth less than half of what was already in place when they came into office. The tax credits that the Labor Party had put in 2008 was worth double the amount than the vouchers and various grants that this government decided to hand out. And the Fast Forward Fund was worth $700 million, exactly double what the minister just crowed on about what they had just put into place. So when it comes to economic development, Mr. Chair, this minister really doesn't know what he's talking about. The Minister of Science and Innovation, Dr. Wayne Mapp, is often sits back or stands up and talks about Denmark and Israel as being these shining examples of what New Zealand could become. And it's great that Dr. Mapp is just walking into the House right now. I mean, almost on cue. Denmark has been held up as the shining light of what New Zealand could aspire to. We have an agricultural economy about the same as Denmark, but our manufacturing and our high-tech is minute compared to what Denmark's is. And that's the reason that Denmark is in the top of the OECD and we are down the bottom and dropping. Mr. Key, John Key, talks about ITRI. This is the Technology and Research Park in Taiwan, obviously a place that he's visited. Again, he holds these places up as being something that we should aspire to. Yet, when we actually look at what this government has put in place to enable us to get there, it bears absolutely no resemblance to what this government has put in place. Last budget, 2010, it came out with this wonderful step change, this big policy about what it was going to be doing in the space of science, research and innovation. We'd actually been waiting for this for more than 2 years. And finally it came out, and as I said before, it was worth exactly half of what they'd taken away. Exactly half of what they'd taken away. And then this year, Mr. Chair, what happens? It's $12 million less than what we had in 2010. So despite all the big talk, the big noting about how this was going to drive the economy, the speeches from Dr. Wayne Mapp, the speeches from the Prime Minister about Taiwan and ITRI and all of those things that we should aspire to, what we've actually ended up with is a whole lot less than what we started with when this government came into being. A whole lot less than what this government started with, came into power in their hands with. We have simply gone backwards, Mr. Chair. We have gone backwards. What we should be having is a tax policy, a tax credit policy, which rewards all companies, not just the favoured few that happen to apply for the grant, and some bureaucrat smiles benignly on them and congratulates them for putting in such a good application and gives them the money. I was at a company last week, Mr. Chair, a high-tech company with fantastic growth potential. They had put in an application and had it turned down. Under the tax credit, Mr. Chair, they would have actually have been rewarded for their effort. Mr. Chair, this government talks about trying to grow the innovation sector. It talks about research and development. As I said, what they have put in is worth half of what we put in form of the tax credit. And the Fast Forward Fund, $700 million, which is actually transferred, was taken away by Bill English and replaced with this rather paltry, anemic PGP in its place. Mr. Chair, this government has not delivered on its promise to deliver high-quality research, science and innovation.
Bill Sam Ludowinger.
Thank you, Mr Chairman. And Mr Chairman, it's a pleasure to speak on this, the economic development estimate.